Hello and welcome back to my May Draft Rankings Part 2. Now, if you're here, you've probably seen the first episode. If you have not, go check the link in the description and watch the first part of the draft rankings. If you're here, I'm only going to be going over picks 21 through 50 with Anna Pierce. So if you're not here to see that, please go see the first video. If you want to see the entire thing all together or just listen to it, go click the link to the Spotify link down below as well, because I did a whole podcast. It's around an hour 45. If you have the time, I'd really appreciate it. We go into great detail and great length there. So, I mean, it's an excellent episode. So please go check that out. Thank you for watching this one as well, and I will catch you later. Now let's move on to picks 21 to 30. We're basically just going to go from 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50. I'm just going to go through my list. And
Okay.
if you pick out somebody that you like or two, we'll talk about them and we'll just kind of go over them and talk about them. But
Okay.
I'm just going to keep it brief from here on out.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give my thoughts on all these prospects, and you can, chime in whenever you want. Be like,
Yeah,
hey,
definitely.
why do you have this guy here? Like, what the hell?
What are you doing?
At number 21, I have Sasha Boisvert from Muskegon in the USHL. Again, dynamic goal scoring center, which everybody is always looking for. Very raw game, very open potential player. He's another USHL player that I really think can grow into a bigger role. He's going to really fill out defensively. He's going to really develop his shot.
Right.
Emil Hemming is my number 22 ranked player from TPS. The U18s really brought me back in on him. He kind of fell out of favor for me. He brought me back in, drew me back in, those goal scoring abilities, that power forward, and that skating. Oh my God, that skating. I mean, we love the European prospects with the great skating.
Yes.
Dominic Badinka at number 23 for me. He's someone that I really did not think was going to be that high for me these years, but now he's at 23 for me. He just does not flinch. This guy, you can put all the pressure in the world onto him and he will not crack. He doesn't crack under pressure. He's a tremendous player. For Malmo in the SHL, I mean, come on, he looks really, really solid. I think
Hmm.
I have him higher than a lot of other people, but we'll see what happens with him. Nikita Artamonov, my number 24th ranked skater from Torpedo in the KHL, the teammate of Anton Salayev. He's way more raw than I first thought. He's a great player. He's always moving in the zone. I love his compete, but he needs to round out certain parts of his game. Shot, passing, but again, puck control. He needs to just round those parts out of his game, and I think he will at the KHL level. We'll see what he does, but I really like Artamonov in terms of compete. It's everything else that I'm really concerned about. Number 25, I have Maxime Massé from Chicoutimi. Again, can you find a more well-rounded player than Maxime Massé and Michael Bronsignigaard on this draft? I mean, he plays everywhere. Massey plays on the PK, on the power play, 5-on-5, 4-on-4, 3-on-3, and
Crazy.
he just does it all. And that shot is always we've always known that he's had a great shot. And
Hmm.
he's developed every part of his game so well that he's flown under the radar and no one has really seen it happen. Again, QMJHL, not one of the stronger leagues in the world, but Massey. He's going to be one hell of a prospect coming out of that league. At number 26, I have Andrew Basha from Medicine Hat. He's really climbed up my list. He really has. He's somebody that I really was not expecting to be as good as he was. Again, I thought he was a tap-in merchant. Good skating. He played so well when Caden Lindstrom was away with injury. He
Right.
played even better when he was out from injury in the playoffs. I think that he shows a ton of upside in somebody that, again, you can't just write off as a tap-in merchant because there's so much more aspects to his game. A great passing ability as well is
One
one
of the
of them.
things I really like about him is he's
Yeah,
patient. He's flashy. He has good hands. But he doesn't force plays that aren't there. I think that
exactly.
in a young player, that's really good quality.
Yeah, well, you stopped me at Basha. Where do you have Basha?
I don't know. I like him. I like him kind of like high second round, I think. I think he could be a really good steal there.
Oh yeah. Well, he could fall there. I really have him higher because again, I think people need to see the value in him. He's just so
I think
solid.
people need to see the value. I don't necessarily think they're going to. I think it could be a Brindley situation where he falls to kind of that spot
That's yeah.
and then a couple years everybody looks stupid.
I actually have Brindley compared to my number 28th guy, but at number 27, Cole Hudson, USN TDP, brother of Lane. He's somebody that we didn't really see all that potential with at the beginning of the year, but then rounded out,
Hmm.
made his game a little bit more known. He's got a great shot. He's got a great passing
Does.
ability. And I have hope that his defensive flaws aren't as pronounced as Lane's because
I don't think they are.
they really aren't.
I think a lot of the data shows that like their defensive flaws are there. I think it also shows that like he is better defensively than Lane is.
Exactly. At number 28, John Mustard from Waterloo in
My
the
God.
USHL.
Another one
Look,
of your favorites.
I have stuck my neck out for this guy. I really have, and I will continue to do so. John Mustard is a first rounder. He is fantastic. He plays so well just in the USHL. He is just hunts for the puck. He's got a good shot. I really think next year everyone's going to see that Providence team with Trevor Connolly and John Mustard, and they're going to be like, "What the hell? Like what?
Yeah,
How? Like this?"
he's not on anything right now. Like when I was doing research, just like gather all my ideas, make sure like I had kind of like a bunch of perspectives on every guy. He wasn't on a single list.
Yeah.
Like he was really hard to find anything on.
Exactly. But Mustard, he's a great player. I think people really need to get higher on him because, again,
I agree.
he's really solid. At number 29, I have EJ Emery, the big shutdown D from the USN TDP. Doesn't show a lot of offensive potential, but it's there.
I
Hopefully,
agree.
he just projects as a guy that can move the puck really well, but also
Yeah,
shut down your defenseman. And then finally, at number 30, Linus Eriksson from Your Gardens, a powerful Swedish center that could really just go anywhere that he wants to. He's got a great passing game, a really solid shot. There's not a lot of holes in his game, and I would love to see how he projects later on. He's kind of flown under the radar, but finally made my list very recently. He's someone that I really feel like could project and open up and just open someone else's scoring and just
I
really
agree.
just drive a second or third line. And that's just something that is so valuable in this day and age. Any now I used you cut in for Basha and Hudson. Anyone else that you want to talk about from 21 to 30?
I want to talk a little bit more about Erickson. I love Djurgården. Like again,
Oh
Sharks
yeah.
fan, big William Eklund fan. It was a club that I made a point to go visit when I was abroad.
Yeah.
I really love them. He
I
was a
hope I go
top
visit them when I go to Sweden. So
do it.
yeah, I will.
I bought too much merch. It's a problem. It's fine. But again, I really love that team. He was really good for them. He was a leader for U18s. He was a captain for his age group in Sweden, which I think is shows a lot. I think it's important when you talk about kind of like what he can do in the future, his kind of like ability to lead, his like desire to get better, all those fun things. But I just like Jurgen so much. And
Anyone
I
else, anyone else from like 25 to 21 or just in that range?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's
I feel
I feel
like
like
you said everything that I had, truly.
I feel like it's a solid list. I feel like I've stuck my neck out for guys like Massey and Badinka, but again, I think they've
Yes.
earned it. They really have. So especially Badinka, someone that I never was really high on, but then woo, I came
No,
up
yeah.
really fast.
He's
I'm like,
played really well.
he's just
Even
somebody that like everyone's gonna value. Big, tall defenseman, moves the puck, skates really well, doesn't panic.
exactly. And
What else
he
do you need?
checked so many boxes.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's going to be someone that's going to rise higher than people really think. Now, moving on from picks 31 to 40, I'll just quickly run through them. Stop me whenever you feel is necessary.
Okay.
At number 31, I have Matvei Shuravin from CSK Moscow. There is a bit of a concern in his game, but you can't take away the fact big puck moving defenseman. I mean,
Exactly.
get a trend here. Who
No,
is,
literally.
is really solid on defense, knows how to pass it really well, and again just has a very solid IQ game. He needs to get a little bit better with in terms of just vision, but he needs to develop a better shot because his windup
Yes.
is it's gross, but not the good kind. But Matvey Shervin, he still is earned a first round grade for me. I think
I would
defenseman
agree.
is going to be very valuable later in the draft, so we will see what happens with him.
Yeah. I also
32.
like, sorry.
Yeah, go,
I
no,
also
no, no,
I
no.
like his physical
Stop me.
play. He's good. He exits the zone well, he enters the zone well.
Transition's great.
Yeah, he's so good in transitioning. He doesn't shy away from contact. Again, I think that really has potential to generate offense, generate goals for an NHL team. So I think that's also a good kind of indicator of his upside.
Exactly. Now at 32, I have Alphonse Frey from Sweden to J20. Another player where like there's two like solid defensive Swedish players from
Yeah,
30 to 40. That's him, Solon Wallenius, and their teammates, which is wild. But I think Frey has done the better job of standing out offensively. He has a
right.
better offensive step to his game, where Celine Wallenius is better at skating, at some defensive aspects. But I think Frey has the better frame. He's 6'1", 200
Yeah,
pounds. He could grow into the better player. I think there's a lot of developable traits there. He's slowed down over the rest of the year. He didn't show a lot in the U18s, but I'm a believer in Alphonse Frey. I think that all of the tools are there. He just hasn't shown a ton of results, and that could make him fall on draft day. So we'll see what happens with him. At number 33, I know you're gonna have something to say about this guy, so I might just give it to you after him. Aaron Kiviharu, the former consensus number one overall pick for this draft. Yeah, I mean HIFK, he only played 7 games this year. That is just so annoying, especially for me
I
because
know.
I love it. I love him. I fell in love with his game. I love the way that he skates, his offensive upside potential, his defensive competency. He really is competent on the defensive
He's
level. I
good.
like his stick. And in the 7 games that he played, he did show a ton. I really think that he showed enough for me. And I still have him as a first to second round grade. He's going to be early second at the most. Hopefully
Mhm.
he goes first round, but we'll see what happens. I mean, your thoughts on Aaron Kiviharu, because there's a lot of thoughts going around.
Yeah, I could see teams being scared to take him that high, especially with the injuries. He only played 7 games. Like, my sport analytics head says that's a sample size problem.
It is.
It's a sample size problem. The other thing though is you could like pull from different data, from like his previous seasons, and like he is so good when he does play. He can break the puck out really well. He's a great passer. He finds his teammates. Like he is so good when he plays. He just hasn't played that much. And so I think that there is a world where a potentially more stock team who has the capability to take a gamble on him, picks him again, like early second, low first, and gets a great return out of it. But I think there is a world where a lot of teams with not necessarily as strong prospect pools don't pick him because of the gamble. But I think there's a world where he pays off really well.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's the risk and reward you have to look at him because he's
Yeah.
a very high risk, but the potential
Yeah.
for the reward there, man. I
Crazy.
mean, there is a
Yeah.
potential that he could be the best defenseman from this class, which is a scary thing to say because I have put a lot of effort into
There's
seeing
a
these
lot of
boys.
really good defensemen in this
There are.
class.
But he obviously has the potential. He was ranked
Yes,
number one for a long time. Craig
he
Button
was.
has said as much, and again,
Yeah.
was. So we'll see what happens with him. We'll see if he develops. Again, big
Yeah.
mystery.
I hope
At
he
30,
does. I want to see him do well.
I'm rooting for him too. I really do root for him because he's someone that I want on my bingo board. Aaron, keep are you?
Yeah.
I was high on that guy. I was glad I was.
Right? I feel
Yeah.
that.
On 30, number 34, I have Tarek Parasak from Prince George. Now, this was the guy that I was high on early, and then I kind of came back on, but I still want to be very high on him. Tarek Parasak, again, he just emerged this season as a player who has a dynamic scoring ability. Prince George was fantastic this year because of guys like Tarek Parasak who emerged.
Mm,
He has a really solid vision for passing
he
the puck. And
does.
again, great shot. It's just the skating. It's
Yeah.
very worrisome. And there's a lot of parts of his game that aren't very translatable to the NHL that he needs to round out. And he's a bit of a project, but at 34, could he be the steal of the draft? I mean, that's the
I
question
think
that
he could be. I think,
really,
like, again, he has so much to round out, but his vision and his intelligence on the ice are really good. And those are things that are not very easy to teach.
I like his instincts. I really
I
do. For
like his
somebody,
instincts. He has
yeah,
great instincts, and I think you can teach somebody how to skate. Like, get him in some power skating classes, get him like get him like an ice dance figure skating teacher, he'll be fine, right? Like you could teach a shot. I just think he has instincts that you can't teach, and I think if a team takes him and they're really willing to put the time in, he could turn into something great.
yeah, I would. I really enjoy it. At number 35, I have Camille Bednarik from the USN TDP. Just another solid USN TDP forward. Just, I think the second round is going to be flooded with a lot of these guys like Brody
Mhm.
Zemer, Christian Humphreys,
Yeah.
Max Plante. I mean, I have all these guys like around
Yeah.
this range, but I think Bednarik is the best one of them. He slots in, he plays with Cole Eiserman right now. He plays with James Higgins. He's just a do-it-all guy. He goes to the net.
He is.
He crashes the net. He forces passes. I think he's somebody that's going to be a really solid day two pick and someone that
I would
flies under the
agree.
radar. He's someone that I want the Flyers to really try to push and get because
He'd be good.
he really fits the mold there. Moving on to 36, Jet Luchenko.
Ooh.
I already don't like this ranking for him because this is kind of low for him at 36. He performed really well at the U18s, and I like his shot. I like his playmaking ability. There's just a lot of holes in his game and where he projects. He shies away from contact.
Yeah.
And well, his season didn't really inspire a ton of confidence for me. He kind of didn't have a very strong second half, and I'm a little worried about that. And he did kind of show me up at the U18s, so it kind of sucks that I'm putting him at 36, but
Yeah.
it's a lot lower than a lot of other people. But Jet Luchenko, I think he's somebody that is going to be more of a project than people think.
I agree.
He 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 looks like a total Leafs pick at 25.
Oh my God, they
Scream
totally would.
he scream because they took Easton Cowan at
Oh
last
my God,
year.
they did. I
Believe
forgot.
me, Anna, they'll take him. They will.
No, they will. They will. It's such a Leafs pick. Oh my
It's such
God.
a Leafs pick. But yeah, I enjoy Luchenko's game. That's why I have him this high. But he needs to improve it. He needs to
Yeah,
get a little bit better, and he may fall a little bit more in my June
yeah.
rankings. So we'll see.
He's good. He has oh, whoa, I can speak English. He has good skating, he has good compete, but like he's like again, there are holes. I've seen projections of him as kind of a bottom six forward. Is his offense special enough to make up for a little bit of a smaller size? He could be a very solid bottom six forward. But again, like he might fall because of that.
It's crazy that we're talking about this like only the second round because again, it
I
just shows you how
know.
weak this class is.
It's
Now
nuts.
moving on to number 37, a player that I've really grown to love because of Ethan Haytu showing me again, Corey Pittner from Youngstown Phantoms in the USAHL, another smart, high IQ defenseman, kind of looks like a less developed Zeev Buium, skates pretty well,
Ooh,
has a good enough
yeah.
shot, makes really smart passes. Corey Pittner, I mean, not a lot of people have watched a lot of tape on him. I encourage you to go find everything that you can on Torrey Pittner because he
There's
is
not a
somebody
lot. I speak from
there
like
there is not a
experience.
lot.
You have to
As
dig, but it's worth it, is what I
Ethan
will
has
say.
sent me a ton of clips. He's sent me like 4 games of him shift by shift in the USHL, and I have poured over that tape. Like I've been critiquing every little bit, and he really looks solid. He's somebody that I feel like I would totally take a risk on putting him in the top 32 for June, but we'll
Yeah,
see. Again, he's just a very smart player, and I'm
he'd be a
totally willing
steal.
to stick my neck out for him again. He's going to Denver next year. So if Zeev does not sign, yeah, he's going to Denver
Oh,
next year. Him and
I didn't
Zeev,
know that.
yeah.
That could be like he is learning. He could learn from Steve, who has such a similar game to him. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's gonna
Be
be
so good.
amazing. At number 38, Alexander Zetterberg from Orebro in the J20. I also already don't like this pick because he's gonna be a lot higher on my June because he's been unreal. Did you watch the U18s? He played
I watched highlights. I think like the
excellence.
timing was
Yeah.
kind of bad. Yeah.
I watched a ton of the games. He really, really impressed me. And he went
He was very
from
good.
around like 50 for me to 38. And he's gonna go higher because he's
Yeah.
somebody who's bordering on this line. Size is a concern, but skating, shot, passing, it's all there for him. You,
Yeah.
you
And
need to
I
kind
think
of
that I
go ahead.
mean that allows him to make up for the size, right? If you're small and you can skate well, I think you're fine, right?
Exactly.
Because you can get around players, like you can use that to your advantage, be small, fast, weave in, weave out. Like like that actually is like if he has all the other stuff, the size isn't a concern. I think it's just like a part of his game.
Exactly. But again, Zetterberg, of no relation to Henrik, really projects as a very solid forward for the next few years. And I think he's a
I
risk
would
for
love
any
if the
team.
Sharks took him. If
Oh,
San Jose took
yeah.
him in the second round, I would
Wouldn't
like
that be great, right?
we have a lot of Swedes. Like he would have great people to learn with. We could throw him into our like little Swedish adoption family group. It'd be great.
There we go. That'd be great. At number 39, I have Terrence Smith from Everett, which is another player that a lot of people don't really clock a lot of tape
Oh,
on. This is somebody that like I've come out and just seen him play for Everett, play in the WHL. I've gone and looked at a lot of Everett tape. He's a dynamic offensive player. He could
yes.
really change the way a team plays on the second or third pairing. I think he really could add that extra step. This is a really weird comparison for me. I think that he looks like a Sean Dursey type player for me. And I think that's very,
Okay.
very interesting. I like the way that he could play 2 ways. I like the way that he could slot in offensively. He could be a steal in the second round for anybody. So I
Fair.
really encourage anybody who doesn't know Terrence Smith to go and look at his game for Everett because he has been playing really solid for them. And again, he's a player that I encourage to just go out and watch. At number 40, I have Christian Humphreys from the USN TDP. Again, another American boy that you have to love. He's got great stick handling. He's got great shots. He just does a lot of things so well because they round
Does.
everyone out so well at the USN TDP. What I really think people can take away from him is that he's got a really well developed stick control. He is
He
his puck control
does.
is a lot better than what I would have thought. We'll see what he does, but again,
I like his offensive game. Again, like you said, his stick is very developed. His offensive game is very, very good, very high in terms of percentiles for the NTB for the USHL. I think he could be really good.
I don't remember his points off the dome, but like I think it was up there in like one of the higher ones for the NTDP because
Yeah,
I remember
I
it's
don't have it written down. I only have like some like
but
percentiles. But yeah, like
Humphreys,
comparatively high. Yeah.
yeah, he's higher. He's really higher on my
Yeah.
list, and I'm glad that he is because he's again a better player. And now
Yeah.
anybody from that list from 31 to 40 that you want to talk a little bit more about.
I don't think so. I think we hit everything.
All right, sounds good. Now to round it out from 41 to 50, now we're getting into little bit of the dark ages. We're going to talk about these players, and I'm just going to give my opinions on just like their one really good trait. Miguel
Mhm.
Marquez at 41 from Lethbridge Hurricanes. He is just a cleanup man in front of
Mhm.
the net. He is a very good playmaker. I thought that his passing ability was a little bit more developed. He needs more work,
Mhm.
but put him in front of the net. He can tip. He can clean up in front of the net really well. He's just somebody that I think his IQ is really solid. And his
Yeah.
passing ability needs to get a little bit better, but the IQ for me tricked me to thinking that it was a lot better and was first round worthy. I still like Marquez. Still think he's a very solid player. I had him very high in my last rankings.
Yeah.
I still feel that he's a great player, but again, he needs to develop a little bit more along the
Yeah, I
route.
mean, I grew up with Joe Pavelski, so I mean, I love a tip-in man. I love a cleanup man. They can really do a lot for a team. Like a goal is a goal, regardless if it's off like slap shot or wrist shot, or if it's like cleaned up after some really messy stuff in front of the net. And I think he could generate a lot of offense for a team like that.
And now at number 42, I have Max Plant from the USN TDP. Yet again, kind of like Humphreys, dynamic shot, dynamic
Definitely.
passing ability. I look at some of the shots that he's made. I'm like, oh my goodness,
It's crazy.
what's going on with this guy? He's flying under the radar and nobody's taking notice. And whoever takes him, I'm gonna be like, watch out. Max Plant,
Yeah. He has a
great
very good
player.
transition game too. I think that
Yes.
flies under the radar a little bit.
I was just about to touch on that.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, he's really solid there. And number 43, I have Leo Saline Wallenius. People are up and down on this prospect.
Yeah.
I have a lot of opinions on him. I think great passing game, great
Yeah.
skating game, really underrated defensive game.
I would agree.
He really needs to clean up a lot of his offensive skills, like and more of his puck handling, but skating wise, really solid. He doesn't really excel and exceed a lot of expectations in terms of defensemen, but again, I'll always take someone who's really solid at skating. I would always take someone who's really good at defense. So
Yeah.
yeah,
His skating, he can generate a breakout, he can join on the rush, he can get back and close gaps. Like his skating does a lot for him, and I think it's really buildable because of that.
exactly. And again, he's a moldable player. Exactly like you
Yeah,
said. Again, another player good on transition. Love it. So
exactly. I love transition game.
exactly, so do I. Yegor Surin, my number 44 pick from Locomotive. Now, Locomotive was one of my favorite places to go to the well last year because they had Daniel Boot and they had Dmitry
True.
Simashev and
Ooh,
loved
they
it.
were so good.
They were so good. But Yegor Shurin, he was playing in the MHL this season, and he just kind of showed an offensive game that really looked so translatable.
Mm,
I didn't put him on my honorable mentions. I didn't. And I kind of feel bad that I didn't mention him at all for my shooters. Same with Sam Dickinson. I'm sorry for not
mm,
putting Dickinson or Surin on my list for that. But Surin, he's got a really quick wrist shot. It's not as developed as some of the other people ahead of him, but he's a winger that could be very dynamic and has the potential to climb up the rankings and really make a difference at the next level. I really, really like the way that he plays. I think it's very solid. It's very translatable. We will see what happens with him, but Surin, not a lot of places you can go wrong with him. And he's a spark plug too. He's always moving.
yes, his compete is very high too, so
Yeah.
that'll translate really well. That'll help.
Exactly. That's always going to help. At number 35, I have Charlie Elick from Brandon in the WHL. I go back and forth on this defenseman because
Yeah,
he's 6'3". He is a two-way defenseman. And
yeah.
I like sometimes that he makes amazing plays. He was good in the
Mhm.
U18s. I like some of the passes that he makes. He makes really good passes. He's better in transition game. He's kind of a high IQ player,
Yes.
but not on defense. On
Yeah,
defense, I want more. I want more. I desire more. He needs to use more size. I look at guys like Artem Levshnov who are shoving guys out front of the net, and then
exactly.
he's just letting them play there. And
Yeah.
Elick, there's potential there, but there really is. He's so
You have to
coachable.
worry about the defensive liability
He's
with
so
him for
coachable.
sure.
And again, I want to see more with him, but again, I think Elick, I have him so high because, well, so high. He's 45. I have him so high because I really think the potential is there. And you can see what he can do there. He can make magic happen on a stick. I think him and Harrison Brunick are two players that like in the WHL that we will see what happens with them. They are very similar players where they need to have their game cleaned up. But
Definitely.
you see the potential. You see what they can
Yes.
do. You see what they can do most of the time. Put them in that position and they'll succeed. At number 46, Simon Zetter, who was in my top 32 last month.
Ooh.
And I still feel like he can really drive a line. It's the skating that really drove him back for me. He is
Yeah.
such a toolsy player. Big size, big
Mm.
center potential. I mean, we talk about first line centers and like centers that you can develop because you have to develop him. He's somebody that like I see the potential sometimes in the SHL that he like has that upside to be a really solid top six center. But the skating needs to get better. I love me some of the shots that he's making. It's just kind of just I haven't seen anything lately with him. So we'll see what happens with him. Again, your thoughts on him?
I don't know. I like him. Like I am so partial to skating that I am a little bit worried, especially for a guy who has, like the tools otherwise to become a first line center. Like you have to be able to skate well. And like he could improve it. He could prove me wrong. I'm worried
Exactly.
about it.
And now at number 47, I have Tanner Howe, notably one of the best teammates for Connor Bedard last year in Regina.
Yes.
We were always worried about what he was going to do and how he's going to look without Bedard this year. And he
He
really
looked good.
succeeded. He looked
Yeah, he
really
looked
good.
really good.
He was at a point where I was putting him in my first round and I didn't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it. I
Yeah.
feel like he could go first round and I'd be like, okay, good pick. Like,
Yeah.
honestly,
You'd be like
I
solid. Like I like you would see where that was coming from.
exactly. And he's a very dynamic player. I think I want to see more reps. Again, I'm not as confident in him because I've seen him and I've watched elite prospects. I've watched them praise this guy. And I get it. I get why people are so high on him. And
Yes.
I would be too. It's just I'm not there. I'm not sold on it. I really don't see all of it there. Your thoughts on him?
I don't know. I like him. Again, the fact that he is doing so well without Connor Bedard, I think does silence a lot of doubts for people, and that could potentially be why he is so high. I mean, he has such a good compete level. He's very tenacious. And
Exactly.
like, that's something I really like in a player. I mean, we've talked about this whole time. I really hate players who shy away from contact. So for me, like the tenacity and his offense being good without Bedard is, he could be a very good like second round pick. And I would be happy if we took him.
All right, now to round it out, my final three in the top 50. We have Dean Letourneau, huge, hulking, 6'7" dude from St. Andrews College in the
Massive.
PHC. Oh, he's a BC commit too. So
Oh, he's gonna develop. He's gonna
he
develop.
really is going to develop.
Yeah,
And it's more of a thing where you just need to see him with better competition.
I would
His
agree.
traits are all there.
Yeah,
He could seriously be one of the steals of the draft. He looks like he has good skating. Like he has a great shot. He looks like he has great stick handling. Pause. Put him in the harder league, please.
yeah.
Because
No,
again,
I agree.
there are some Shattuck prospects that I feel really solid about, but they're being pulled because they're not in a great league, and then none of them have the traits like Letorno has. It's unreal.
Yeah, St. Andrews is a good hockey prep school. It has that reputation, right? Like I can't think of any of the names right now, but I know there are other guys who have gone through there and succeeded. But like, yeah, I just like I want to see him for BC before I say anything definite. It looks good now. It could look great with BC, his game. But again, I just would like to see it solidified against harder competition.
Exactly. And now at number 49, I have Adam Yeko from Edmonton Oil Kings in the WHL. Another example of just a ginormous forward who,
Yes.
yeah, again, skating's a bit of a concern for me, but he plays an incredible two-way game. He's six
Mhm.
foot five. He's
Yeah.
freaking huge. He's got a better passing ability than I ever would have expected. It's just it revolves around skating. I want to see him move a little bit better. I want to see him put up more points before I really draw a conclusion about him. But that being said, I love him. I really do think that he
Yeah.
should go around this level. I'm a little lower on him than most, but we'll see what
Yeah, I've
happens.
seen him higher. I think that I'm a little bit more forgiving of skating for guys who are that big. I mean, like, I think that it's proven that, just because they're so massive, they can succeed in the NHL without necessarily the skating. And that is a lot of body mass to move.
It is.
So I think if his offensive game developed a little bit more, I think that I would be more okay with his skating. And I think that, like, GMs and scouts are probably going to feel the same way.
And the final player in our top 50, thank you so much for sticking with us for the whole way through. From Ottawa in the OHL, Henry Muse. I so desperately want to be so high on this guy because
No,
he makes some good decisions
he
sometimes,
does.
and I like his skating. I like his
Yes,
shot. I like
he is a great
some of
skater.
his passes, really good.
Yeah.
But his decision making, sometimes he
Yeah.
loses the puck. He's not always all there, and I think like he's getting help with some of his line mates. Like Morelli, I wish forget which Morelli is, but like he plays so well with like on the line with them.
Exactly.
I think Henry Muse he has a ton of upside, but again, it doesn't seem like it's all there just yet. And he's more of a project and he's more of a process. And he's somebody that could definitely be a Leafs pick. Like this guy screams Leafs for
They
me.
would. They would.
They
Also, the
would.
Leafs are always so dialed in on the OHL guys too. The Leafs love an OHL kid. They absolutely
Exactly.
would.
And I think Muse, he does have mistakes. He does make mistakes, but the potential's there. It's so
I
there.
agree.
And I like him. I really do. And I
No,
want to like him more. But
exactly.
I'm full. It's really tough for me to do that.
I know.
But that is really gonna do it for our top 50 in the month of May. Look, it was a long process, but we
It
got here. And
was.
again, I'm happy that we did 50. I really am because I think
Yeah, it was a good amount.
it's a good amount. It is a really good amount. I'm doing 100 next month.
I don't know
So,
how you're gonna do
woo.
that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a longer one. That might be like one of the only podcasts I get out during
Mhm.
that month, but we'll see because it's gonna be like long
No one
as
can blame you. That's so many players. That's so
but
many
I'm
players.
committed to doing it because I really
Yeah.
want people to like know about this stuff. But any players that you think should have been on this list that weren't, anyone that you were like kind of like met that you were like, huh, like why wasn't this person on this list? Is there anybody that you were like, huh, like that you wanted to talk about? Anyone glaring?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna poke the bear and say your check. I know that you don't like him. I
Yeah,
know there are injury concerns.
and
I
that's
don't
kind
think
of my big thing with him.
yeah, I don't think that's necessarily gonna stop picking a team like stop a team from picking him in the top 50. I'm
He's gonna
like,
go in the first round, I think. I really do think he's gonna go first round.
yeah. I think I've seen him in the first round in a lot of things. His skill set really is there. It's just the injuries.
Yeah,
And I know that's why you don't like him. And I know because I knew that before I got the top 50, like I knew he wasn't gonna be on this list.
yeah, no,
But
and
I think it's
I'll
interesting to be
explain it.
thought.
I'll
Yeah.
explain it. I'll explain.
Yeah.
He's number 52 on my list because he's just outside. I have him just outside my 50. He's 52, right behind Brody Zemer, my dog. Tools. They're
Yes.
all there.
Yeah.
Skating. It's there. He makes the passes. He makes the shots. What I'm worried about and what I'm concerned about, he played 19 games in the Czechia League. He had 1 point in
Yeah.
the entire year. And again, it's a hard league. It is. I
It
get it.
is. But
But
I don't know if it's hard enough with like the tools and the skill set and the
exactly.
expectations to really justify that 1 point. And like I don't necessarily think that I would personally put him in the first round because of that 19 games 1 point injury concerns. Like the potential of tools, like if they don't translate, it's not worth it. But I
Yeah.
would still maybe throw him second
It's a
round.
risk I wouldn't take. I wouldn't dream of taking him in the first round. Second round, maybe if he's still there. There are a couple
Yeah.
defensemen that I like ahead of him, but I've named them all. So you all
Yeah.
know that you all I've named them all. I've named all the defensemen that I've liked ahead of him. But it's more again, there are injury concerns.
Are
Again,
concerned with him.
his brother also dealt with them. So it makes me think it's familial. But we will see
Exactly.
what happens with him. Again, he's someone I'm going to be watching. I am rooting for him. I'm not burying the kid. I don't want to bury Yurchek because
No.
again, I like him. I do like him. I think he's a good
Yeah.
player. I think he projects really well. He just showed me nothing, and then he got injured. So,
Like
um,
it's hard to rank him super high
it really
because
is.
of that. Yeah, no,
It is.
and I understand why he's not on this list. I maybe would have had him somewhere in like the 35 to 50, but I also, understand why you
Yeah.
dropped him. He showed you nothing
One
and then he got injured.
Yeah, and I'll probably name one more player. I would probably name one more player that I think could rise into this top 50 range that I think that is could be making that jump very soon. Someone like again, I mentioned before. I'm gonna mention him again because
Yeah,
again, I love him so much. Brody Zemer, again, the USN TDP, they're very stacked this year,
they are.
but he's the captain of that team. He's been
Yes.
the captain in the U18s. He's the captain of that team right now. He's been the captain for 2 years for that group of players. This age group looks up to him, and there's a reason why he plays a game that people respect, and he's gonna play in the NHL.
Yeah.
That's something that has never been a question for me. It's more of just how effective he's going to be. He's a safe pick at
Mhm.
around the 50s, or
Yes.
probably he's going to go 40s, 30s maybe.
Yeah. I could see
But
that.
Brody Zemer is going to play in the NHL.
I
That's
agree.
was never a doubt for me. It's just a matter of who takes him, where they take him, and how they develop him is what's going to really matter in terms of development. Because you could find a gem in this player. Because I think
You
there's
could.
a lot of really translatable two-way game facets in his game. So and yeah, other players that I think I wanted to just highlight and just kind of say that weren't in this list, but were really close. Harrison Brunick was at 55. Ryder Ritchie was at 53. Julius Mietinen was at 54. I have Jesse Pulkkinen at 60. Luke Misa at 66. Sam O'Reilly at 68. Cole Baudouin, 69.
I
And
saw
then,
him high on a couple lists.
yeah, I've seen him high of a couple lists too.
Yeah.
Corey Promen has him in his first round.
Yeah.
And then Stian Solberg at 73 for me. But again, I'll get into the top 100 next month. But as for now, thank you so much for watching. This was a long long episode. I'm actually really glad that we got it in this amount of detail because we kind of
Yes.
needed to. Because we really needed to give visibility to these people, especially people like
Exactly.
Terrence Smith and Torrey Pittner. Those are guys that I really wanted to highlight throughout this entire list
Yes.
because they're worth it.
Fly under
And
the radar, and they're gonna be good at the next level.
exactly. But once again, thank you so much for joining, Anna. I've really been trying to get you on for a long time because you are
Of course,
so knowledgeable
I'm
about.
glad it worked out. I'm sorry, I was like so busy.
Don't worry. No, don't worry about it at all. I'm actually like this is actually perfect timing as well because I wanted
Yeah,
a really high condensed list as well. But once again, thank you so much for giving me your time and because again, this is going to be a great episode. I'm really excited about
I'm
this.
excited for it too.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any comments on where I rank these players, if you want to keep talking about the Tyler Mott comparisons for Mac and Celebrity, by all means, keep arguing in the comments. It gets me more views. Um, but thank you so much for watching. If you have any disagreements about my list, if you have someone that you want higher on this list, please drop a comment down below. I love responding to the comments and explaining my thoughts because apparently I don't explain it enough in these videos. But thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I really loved the love and support I've gotten on all my videos recently. I'm your host, LinkedIn Savage, signing off.